Test, test.
Welcome to the Danny Clinkscale Reasonably Irreverent podcast. Insightful and witty commentary, probing interviews, and detours from the beaten path.
Welcome to Kansas City Profiles presented by Easton Roofing and a great conversation with Kevin Timmons. He is a Kansas City force of nature. Born in Washington, D.C., and raised there for a little bit, and then on to Texas. He didn't come to Kansas City until almost 2000, but he's made a tremendous impact here in so many ways. Originally, he wanted to be a chemist just like his father, but his father saw something in the business acumen and enthusiasm that he had for, well, just about all things that involved being a people person. He urged him to go to the business side. He quickly entered the restaurant business, and having only 5 jobs in the incredibly volatile restaurant business, he eventually, along with his partner, came to Kansas City and started Nick and Jake's, which eventually grew to 4 restaurants. Now there are 3 Nick and Jake's, but not only has he become a restaurateur in Kansas City, and a very successful one starting in about the year 2000, he has also done an unbelievable amount of charitable things. The golf tournament for Nick and Jake's has raised literally millions of dollars. He's very involved with the Corn Ferry Tour event, which is this week, and there'll be a Nick and Jake's, a sort of portable pop-up Nick and Jake's that will be at the Corn Ferry Tour event. And he also has overcome tragedies in his life to use those as inspiration for others. We cover all of it. He's a fantastic storyteller and a fine human being, and it's a pleasure to catch up with Kevin Timmons of Nick and Jake's next, right here on Kansas City Profiles, presented by Easton Roofing.
We did keep doing
more of Danny's Reasonably Irreverent podcast after this.
I'm here with Joe Spiker, owner of Easton Roofing, and boy, we had to negotiate a million things in 2020, but Easton Roofing navigated them all. As 2021 rolls out, what should we expect this coming storm season?
Well, Danny, it'll be the same thing as it is every year. You know, the storms come, and you've got the guys out knocking on doors, offering quote-unquote free inspections. Be wary as a homeowner. If somebody's knocking on your door, they probably need the work, and if they need the work that bad, they may be willing to do something untoward to get it. So if somebody knocks on your door, says they want to give you a free inspection, just tell them have a great day, give us a call, we'll come out for free and give you a good, honest opinion as to whether or not you need to do anything at all with your roof.
And what's the best way to get in touch with Easton Roofing?
You can always find us online at eastonroofing.com or give us a call at 913-257-5426.
Great. Easton Roofing, integrity matters.
Yeah.
Cinematic Vision has been an affordable solution for professional media production in Kansas City since 2003, offering award-winning video production and creation, as well as a wide array of digital and social media management services. From planning, scripting, filming, editing, and post-production, to delivering your product to a watching world, Cinematic Vision will provide professional and affordable services for you and your business with the necessary return on investment to make it all worthwhile. Cinematic Vision's goal is to unlock the power of storytelling through video and a strong online presence for your company. Beyond the numbers, they want to inspire and evoke your clients to feel and act. Let my friends at Cinematic Vision embed your brand where it belongs, in your customers' minds. Wow.
You can find them online at cinematicvisions.com or with a quick phone call at 816 600 6300.
The bitter cold snap in February was just another intense reminder of how important it is to have a quality heating and cooling company on your side. That's why you need to know about my friends at Dillon's Heating and Cooling. Jeff Dillon and his top quality staff provide honest, affordable, and reliable service all year long. Their number one priority is taking care of the customer and focus on being genuine, always following through and standing behind what they say and do. If you need HVAC or AC repair, it's important you get help from a team of professionals. Dillon's Heating and Cooling's team can walk you through a range of products, the advantages of heating and cooling systems, and ultimately help you find the best HVAC system for you. They're always glad to answer your questions and set up an appointment for an installation consultation. If you are looking to upgrade to a newer model of your current system or need one installed in a new home, give my friends at Dillon's Heating and Cooling a call today at 913-214-0529. That's 913-214-0529. Or visit DillonsHeatingandCooling.com to answer all of your questions. Dillon's Heating and Cooling. Their slogan is their goal, always treating you like family. We're here once again with Dr. Brad Woodle from Advanced Sports and Family Chiropractic and Acupuncture. Springtime, good weather's finally here. People want to stay active.
Really do
and
that.
It's your job to make sure that they can stay active, be active, and be healthy.
Danny, we see a lot of not just weekend warriors, but people that every day are having that
and
want
we'll just talk
to
and have a good time
to activity. Whether you're starting with walking, jogging, or maybe that first 5K of the year, we want to help you out. We specialize in taking care of all ages, from kids all the way to grandmas and grandpas, but absolutely specialize in getting you back to full function and keeping you in great shape.
So in short, how do we go about doing that?
The first thing is to schedule a consultation with one of our doctors and therapists so we can see how you move and how you're supposed to move. Based on our assessment, we can put together a short treatment plan and a set of goals to help you both feel better, function better, and most importantly, stay better for this year and many years to come.
Learn more at asfca.com/Danny. That's asfca.com/Danny. And if not, if you'd like to join these and other great sponsors and market your business to a growing and engaged audience, contact us at danny@dannyclinkscale.com. Look forward to hearing from you.
Well, I was born actually in Washington, D.C.
Okay.
And my dad was a professor of chemistry at Catholic University in downtown Washington, and I grew up a Redskin fan.
Okay.
And I grew up an Orioles fan.
All right. And when did you move to Texas?
Moved to Texas 1977, and was so thankful.
How old were you then?
It would have been seventh grade.
Okay.
Sixth grade, I think. Okay. Yeah, sixth grade, and I was so thankful when I moved down there because the Cowboys just drafted Tony Dorsett, and the Cowboys always beat the Redskins in the last minute of the game in those early 70s, with Staubach and that crew. So I was so happy to become a Cowboy fan. And,
there you go.
Now I'm a Chiefs fan.
All right. Okay. Well, we'll start at the beginning basically and roll from there.
Okay.
Kevin, most people who know you think of you as a Texas person, but you were born and raised for a while in the Washington, D.C. area. Tell us about that. Your dad was a professor, and you were a Washington area sports fan. So what are your first memories of growing up in the Washington, D.C. area?
Well, I grew up wearing a Washington Redskin hat and a Orioles jersey. I absolutely loved sports right from the beginning. I was a big soccer player and was on a traveling team even in fifth grade in Washington area. But we moved to Texas. My dad took a job with the University of Texas Arlington, so we moved right into Arlington, Texas in 1976, 77, and I think I was in sixth grade. And Danny, it was this surreal moment where, wow, I get to become a Cowboy fan because the Cowboys always beat the Redskins in the last minute of the game. Roger Staubach would pull it out of the hat, and the Cowboys just drafted Tony Dorsett. The funny thing, though, we went to when we lived in Washington. My neighbor always used to take us to one game a year at RFK Stadium. The place was absolutely electric, and it rocked, and it was crazy. We went to a game, our first game in Cowboy Stadium, and nobody really even got up off their chairs. The people in front of us and the people next to us brought these little TVs with rabbit ears, and they were watching the game in the stadium from their little remote TVs or whatever they had. And, if the Redskins fumbled and the other team picked it up and ran for a touchdown in RFK Stadium, somebody would have gotten stabbed. But in Dallas, it was just a complete different fandom to us. And, I went in and stayed as a Redskin fan. And until, really, honestly, I was a Redskin fan until I moved to Kansas City. And now, of course, it's the Chiefs.
So when you're in Dallas, are you both a Redskins fan and a Cowboys fan, or you stay a Redskins fan? Or what?
Oh, no, you can't do both. You can't do both. And the funny thing is, that the Texas Rangers played in Arlington. They were the Washington Senators.
Right.
So the Washington Senators came to Arlington shortly before we moved, and quickly became a Texas Rangers fan, of course, and eventually, even in college, I worked for Bobby Valentine. I worked in the sports bar. Kind of a little side note. But, no, you can't be a Redskin fan and a Cowboy fan. You just can't do it.
Tell us a little bit about your soccer career.
Well, I was played soccer in Washington, and then when I came to Dallas, we were in Arlington. All the great soccer teams were in Dallas, and we were, Arlington was a suburb. So oddly enough, my dad and another coach formed a club, and we started our own select soccer club. And eventually, as I got to drive, took a place with the team in Dallas, and we were a traveling soccer team. We played in tournaments around the country and in Europe, and it was a great part of my life. It was really enjoyable.
How did you happen to, soccer was not a major sport in this country, and at that time, thinking back in my life, I don't even think I was ever even exposed to soccer really, and I would, now in retrospect, I would have loved to play soccer, and I think it would have fit into, my size and speed and things like that. Was your dad interested in soccer? How'd you get involved in soccer?
No, I think he didn't have any experience in it, and it's what I gravitated to. If soccer, obviously, all about the skill level and all the practice it takes to be able to control the ball and do what you want with it. But a big part of soccer is stamina, speed, and a big part is communication. The amount of communication that goes on in the field is unbelievable. Basketball, there's a lot of communication. But sports like football, where there's so much practice and all these plays, there's never there are some set plays in soccer, but it's so fluid. And I just love the communication part of it. I played right in the middle of the field, middle halfback, I would talk the entire game.
That probably fits.
And it hasn't changed.
So did you pursue that through high school and into college, or what was your career arc, as it were, as a soccer player?
At that time in Texas, you could not play on a club team and for your high school. And the high school soccer back then wasn't really a thing. They had teams. So I played club, never played for my high school. Oddly enough, the year after I finished soccer, I was coaching soccer for the high school. I came back and coached my brother's senior year. So, but wanted to do it in college. I had a knee injury at one point, and towards the end of my high school, and got some college offers and looks. And my dad kind of said, there's no money in soccer. I mean, you can go do it. It could help get you through college, but you also got, a lot of other things going for you. And I think your best bet is to get into a business school and start moving. So,
what did you? Obviously, you would really enter the restaurant business almost right away in your life. What was the motivation as you were thinking about a career for yourself?
Well, I'll tell you, Danny, there's a couple funny stories. And the Whataburger guys are coming into town here, and I hosted their CFO and their vice president of operations for a cocktail party a few months ago and told them the story. But when I went to college, I went to UT Arlington, and I was a chemistry major because I wanted to be a chemistry major. I looked up to my dad, and he was a chemist. He told me one day, he says, Kevin, he says, you're not a chemist. It's not that I couldn't get the grades. He says, you've got this other knack about you, and I think you ought to look at the business school. And I did. A very funny thing happened one day. I was I don't know if you remember these ad drop lines, Danny. Now I'm sure if you drop or add a class, you just do it from your smartphone. But we used to have to stand in line in order to drop or add a class in Texas.
Yep.
I walked up to the business school to drop my class and add a different class, and the line was literally about 2 football fields long. So my buddy was the assistant manager at Whataburger, and I called him and got a cooler, and he hooked me up with 100 cheeseburgers. And I took the cheeseburgers back up to the line, And, I bought them for like 75 cents a piece, and I sold them for $2 each. And I went through I sold out of burgers in about 20 minutes. Okay. And then I went back to the Whataburger and got another 100 of them, and went back to the business line and started selling them again. And then the campus police came and they started chasing me off, and the Shorthorn newspaper came up, and I was in the newspaper, and we actually pretended like they were cuffing me or something. And but that moment a few weeks later, in talking to my dad, he said, I thought he was really going to have a problem with me having a problem with the police, And he says, this is why I told you you're not a chemist. This is why I told you you're made for something else. And, I just love to make people happy, and I love the immediate gratification in restaurants. When I was in college, I worked for Steak and Ale, and their concept called Bay Street, and it was a new concept. I worked every position in the restaurant, became a trainer, and I just wanted more and more and more. My senior year of college, I actually took 3 weeks off with my professor's blessings and went and opened two Bay Street restaurants for the company, and got just incredible experience doing that. When I left college, I thought, let's try something else. And I went to IBM and EDS and had good interviews, and then did some follows with the salespeople to see what it was I'd be doing. And Danny, it just seemed boring to me. And I took a job on the East Coast then with a restaurant company, one of my former general managers, and the rest is history. I'm just, this is only the 5th job I've ever had. And most restaurant people, as they're working through their career, kind of bounce around a little bit here, a little bit there, and find better opportunities or geography. But I've been very lucky with the companies I've worked for, and was very lucky to run into Doug Watkins and have us start Nick and Jake's here in Kansas City.
So tell us a little bit about your path. You said you've only had 5 jobs, and that's not very many in the restaurant business, to say the least. But tell us about the path to Nick and Jake's.
Well, when I went over to the East Coast then, so this is my 2nd job, it was a company called California Dreaming. And they had big restaurants, much bigger than Nick and Jake's, big restaurants in Charlotte and Columbia and Charleston, South Carolina. And kind of just worked my way through there, mostly through the kitchen as a chef. And they gave me an opportunity to open their Greenville restaurant, which I did. And then I went down to Atlanta with the same family, and worked in Atlanta with Joey D's Oak Room and the Tavern at Phipps. So people that travel to Atlanta probably know those 2 restaurants as they're still running and thriving. As I was working, now it's been 5, 6, 7 years with that company. A gentleman named Phil Hickey with Rio Bravo ended up eating in my restaurant, had a great experience, called me, and I went on with Rio Bravo. And the interesting thing there is that's when I got to meet my partner, Doug, Nick and Jake's in Atlanta. He ran a sports bar named Diggers. And he was the KU sports bar in Atlanta, Georgia, because an MU bar also, because he was from Kansas City. Anyways, we got to know each other, and he says, "Hey man, why don't you come work for me?" And I said, I don't really want to work for you, but I'd love to keep in touch, and maybe there's something down the road. And we did. And as I was working through Rio Bravo and becoming a GM and then an area manager and a franchise consultant, the Rio Bravo experience was my first and only at this point really like corporate experience, Danny. And the coincidental thing is, Applebee's bought Rio Bravo, and they were flying me to Kansas City once a month for the corporate meetings, for people meetings and marketing meetings and so forth, P&L meetings. And I got to know Kansas City. And the offices for Applebee's were over off of, 435 and Row. And I think the Hubers now occupy that space. But I'd come in once a month, and I kind of took a liking to everything that was going on 119th Street, and 135th wasn't built up yet. But as I started to like Kansas City, my tenure of Rio Bravo was winding down. Had a great offer to go run the clubhouse in Oak Brook, Illinois, with the intention that they would move me out to Costa Mesa, California, to open up their second clubhouse. It wasn't going well at first, and I ended up staying in the clubhouse. And really, that's when I had probably my most immediate success. And it was at that point that I started getting back in touch with Doug and letting him know that I think I'm ready to not only start our own restaurant, but I'm ready to invest in it. And we were looking at, we started looking in North Atlanta, where we were both from. We were looking in West Chicago, like Naperville and so forth, where I was living. And then we were looking in South Johnson County. And those were areas that we were familiar with, areas that had a demographic for an upscale sports bar. And, after my 3 years in Chicago, we ended up here and, named the restaurant after our kids. And it's been a joy. It's been a real joy. And it's 20 years old in July. We'll be 20 years old in July.
That's really amazing. So as you're building up your career in the restaurant industry, and just before the turn of the century, as we can call it now, and Nick and Jake's, what was your personal arc like? Were you too busy for a great personal life, or what was going on there?
No, we had I got married when I was in South Carolina, and she was with me through all the hard times and good times, for that matter. We separated about 10 years ago, and we had two kids. Jennifer, who's working for us right now and does an amazing job with our marketing and social media, and she's just a great gal in the restaurant. She really understands the business. And then my son Nick, who we named the restaurant after, who we lost to suicide in 2017. But I at that point I was already remarried, and she brought 3 kids to the party, and we've got a full house, it seems like, still. And we're just kind of cruising along right now, getting through the pandemic and trying to look at growing again, and we're trying to look at, Danny, we're trying to look at, now we're 55 years old, and what does it look like 10 years from now,
Right. Yeah. And we'll talk about that, Nick, and some of the charitable aspects of charity, such an important part of your life. Talk about the idea and the concept of Nick and Jake's. I was a time when I actually was transitioning from one marriage to another when the restaurant opened, and it was a hot spot to be at almost right away. It was near the radio station, so that's how I was familiar with it. But how did you come up with the idea for it? What has been your thought? You sound like you entered the restaurant business as a businessman per se, but you obviously said you were into the chef aspects of it. How did all of that develop as a restaurateur for you?
Well, we're Doug and I are very different, but we're very similar. We're both foodies. We both enjoy developing food. So we wanted a menu that could continually that had a great core menu that people would come in for all the time, but also we'd be able to have great fresh specials. And we also love the training aspect of it. We love hospitality. We love the decor of the restaurants. We make sure every restaurant, every floor and ceiling and in each restaurant kind of looks and feels different, so you get different experiences. Even, Danny, I know you've been to our bar many times. You come in and have a beer right on your way home, and then the next night, or even the same night, you come back and have a nice dinner in the quieter part of the dining room. So Nick's side is a little more formal side, and nicer side, and Jake's side is the sports bar. We wanted to have we wanted great wines on the menu. We wanted chef-driven specials, but we also wanted sports. We wanted to showcase sports as good or better than anyone in this town. And I think we've done so. We've got, 20 some odd flat screen TVs in each restaurant and 80 bottles of wine in the wine list. We've got great burgers and wings and cheesy potatoes. But yes, this week, we're featuring sockeye salmon, and we're featuring Chilean sea bass last week and halibut this week, and bringing in great proteins and just doing fun stuff with it. So we try to keep it fresh all the time. We celebrate the upscale part of sports. We celebrate the Kentucky Derby. We celebrate the Masters. We celebrate golf in Kansas City at every level with our golf tournament, but also with what we've got going on this week with the PGA event, or I should say the Corn Ferry event. We've built a Nick and Jake's in the middle of the Blue Hills Country Club for this week. And we're very excited to have that branding opportunity, but also to celebrate golf with, South Johnson County.
No question about that. Was the success of Nick and Jake's immediate? The restaurant business is so diabolical. I mean, in restaurants, I think I've heard one time that 50% of all restaurants close within 1 year, and obviously, we're not talking about COVID times. We're talking about regular times. When you were about to start your own enterprise, how daunting is that, and how quickly did you realize that you were going to make it go?
Well, we were there every night. I was there every night. And I'd oftentimes go home and coach soccer and then come back and work the dining room. People bust my chops because they come in at night and I'm not there as much, or hardly at all. But they remember when I worked 7 days a week and worked every night. And there was a problem balancing social schedules with all of that. But we have just been lucky in developing a team, and that's what you got to do in any business, whether it's a restaurant or a dentist office. You just got to have a great team and great teamwork and people that are empowered and people that are trained and people that care and have great work ethic. So we've been lucky, and we had a good core, and a good core kind of spreads to another core. We've got our controller, or the controller of our company, has been on now for 20 years.
More of Danny's Reasonably Irreverent podcast after this.
I'm here with David Schmidt from Private Capital. And David, tell us more about your outstanding firm.
Thanks, Danny. Here at Private Capital, we focus on return on asset. In today's world, it is survival of the fittest. We look at things from all angles and try to figure out what works best for you. The changes we will see this next year on assets will be monumental. The key to success is knowledge. Know where you want to go, and we'll be here along the way. To find out more, give us a call at 816-221-7775.
David Schmidt from Private Capital with the best service for you. I'm here with Tim Emerson, the owner of Emerson & Company. And Tim, give us an idea of the range of services that you provide from Emerson & Company.
At Emerson & Company, we do credit card processing, payroll services. We do bookkeeping, merchant accounts like point-of-sale systems.
What would you say differentiates you from other companies in the field, and what makes you special?
I think what makes us unique is that we're a small local business making regional decisions on companies. We create a profile for the business and then put it out to our different vendors in a very competitive environment and tailor those needs to the specific business, which usually ends up in a great fit or great result for the company.
And, of course, the idea is to save money, right?
Save money, and actually sometimes I'm surprised where actually a solution that may cost a little bit more ultimately does save money, but we're not conditioned to think like that sometimes.
Emerson & Company. Check them out at emerson-co.com or call them at 816-360-9092.
Right now, it's more important than ever to support local businesses, and 23rd Street Brewery in Lawrence is open and ready to take care of you. Make 23rd Street Brewery part of your KU game day experience, whether you watch the game there or grab curbside pickup for your tailgates or watch parties.
But not just game days, 23rd Street Brewery is great any day of the week, and when the weather's nice, you can take advantage of their heaters on the patio. 23rd Street Brewery is open daily from 11:30 to 9 for dine-in, carry-out, curbside pickup, and can even help with your catering needs.
So support local and visit a Lawrence favorite, 23rd Street Brewery.
We're here with Michael Barber, the CEO and founder of Microlight Corporation of America, the world leaders in laser therapy. And Michael, tell us a little bit about your product.
Our device is using a particular wavelength and power to reduce pain and swelling. My background is surgical lasers, but I've been involved with this particular device now for about the last 20 years, actually.
And I know that it works because I've had it used on me as well. And tell us about the relationship you have with your company and Canaway.
It's what I call a strategic business relationship in that Canaway, the leader in the field of the cannabinoid systems and CBD oil, but our device used in conjunction with Canaway CBD oil gives a better pain relief outcome for the patient.
And if you want to get that pain relief outcome like I did, you can reach their local representative, Sherry McCants, at 515-208-6312. That's 515-208-6312.
If you'd like to join these and other great sponsors and market your business to a growing and engaged audience, contact us at Danny@DannyKlinkscale.com. Look forward to hearing from you.
Kevin Timmons is our guest. He is one of the owners of Nick and Jake's, which now has 3 locations around the area. I mentioned the difficulties of the restaurant business. You did have a plaza area location too, and so not everything is going to be a success. Not everything is going to work the way that you imagine. And what is it like when you have something that doesn't quite work the way that you wanted it to, and you have to make difficult decisions? How difficult is that for a person who's been as successful as you have?
It's difficult. Closing the Plaza restaurant was one of the hardest things we've ever had to do, and we had to make a decision. We felt pretty quickly with the pandemic looming. We had great advice. We said, don't base any of your decisions on Fox News or MSNBC or CNN. Base your long-term business decisions going into this pandemic on Johns Hopkins Hospital and their reporting. And so, in March of 2020, we knew that we'd still be wearing masks in April of 2021. And I don't know that everyone knew that. And we were scared, and we didn't handle that closing as good as we could have. We didn't communicate to our employees as well as we should have, and that was hard. But I will tell you that we didn't know there'd be PPP money.
Right.
We didn't know what the government was going to do and help out. So you just kind of have to make decisions, based on what's in front of you and based on what you think is the landscape's going to look like. And we made that decision to close it down. Very difficult. But we're now in a good place, and we're fighting to keep every staff member we can, and we're looking to the future.
Let's look back a little bit here before we get back to the present and all the challenges of the last, now 14, 16 months when we thought, we can't wait till 2020 is over. And, it's not over still. But but anyway, what, as Nick and Jake's was, as I said, rapidly successful. You put all that time into it. And what is the challenge to keep a restaurant, as a hot and viable thing? Some places come and everybody goes there. It's so cool, and the food's great and whatever. And then 4 years later, a place is closing down. What are the challenges to keep a restaurant at a high level of success?
Oh boy, Danny. I mean, that's the question, and it's creating a culture within that restaurant that can survive if you're not there. A lot of restaurants have been very successful, but the owners had to be there every single lunch and dinner. And then there's other restaurants that are successful because they have great layers of employees. I mean, some of the great corporate success stories, Applebee's in the previous years, and Cheesecake Factories, and the Bonefishes of the world. They've all got layers of people that are trained and do their job and follow through. And Nick and Jake's tries to have all those layers, but more importantly, we we just have to keep it fresh. We have to stay current. Food trends, wine trends, liquor trends. Who would have thought that we would have had to rebuild our bar so that we could put 70 bourbons behind our bar? Back in 20 years ago, nobody was drinking bourbon.
Right.
Nobody. I mean, I don't even know what bourbons were available back then besides Jim Beam and so forth. During the shutdown, we actually rebuilt the back bar in Overland Park and Parkville so that we could add these bourbons to our list and tequilas and rums and kind of stay current with everyone. So that's one example.
When you said you always wanted to help people out and make people happy, that was a big part of your and one of the ways you've really done that, and it's such an important part of the entire Kevin Timmons story, is charity and then eventually fundraising and awareness for suicide and things like that. What is it about you that you feel like created a need in you to have that be such an important part of your life?
Well, I'll tell you, Danny, I always have a deep care for people. I mean, there's no doubt about that. That's been ingrained in me. And my business partner and I, we decided that we would not open a business that was going to be built or based on advertising dollars. We decided we want to build a business that was based on community service. And the money that we spend in community service, in lieu of advertising, we feel has helped us just slowly be kind of a cornerstone in the community. My current wife, Ann Timmons, she is passionate about helping people, and she's been a real driver of things that she's involved with Church of the Resurrection and at many levels with helping people. She's involved with Johnson County mental health. She's on their board, their steering board. She is on the Overland Park mental health task force. So she's kind of drives me a little bit. We started a golf tournament 3 years after we opened. It was a sports bar golf tournament. We called it For the Kids, F-O-R-E.
Right.
The kids, and we raised about $10,000 that first year. Well, in 2009, my friend Dan Beitler from George Shaw Construction kind of joined Nick and Jake's, and we've taken that tournament, and we've now grown it to a tournament that just since 2009 has raised almost $5 million for Children's Mercy Hospital. In fact, last year we raised $1 million at our golf tournament, $900,000 to Children's Mercy and $100,000 to the Children's Place. And we've been very lucky with an incredible donor group, an incredible sponsorship group, incredible golfers that come out and understand our passion, and they contribute. We've also got a celebrity coalition with Tom Watson has played in our tournament, I think, for 6 years now. And George Brett now plays, and David Faraday comes up from Dallas, and he hosts the auction with us. And, the Nigro brothers donate their time for our auction. And we're becoming more of a foundation than a golf tournament. In fact, we've kind of rebranded, and we've got an executive director. Tracy McDonald is kind of taken that role, and we actually stole her from the Corn Ferry event.
Right.
She was with Web.com and Corn Ferry for 5 or 6 years. So, we're really passionate. We're really proud of the work, but there's so much work that's left to be done. Children's Mercy has taken $1.5 million of the money that we've raised, and they've created an endowed professorship, a chaired professorship for mental health and suicide research and work. And they've just named who that chair is, Dr. Sarah Soden, and she's phenomenal. And we're just so lucky to have this affiliation with one of the best children's hospitals in the world. And here they are, just right here in our back, in our back door. So Kansas City is a very giving community, and they have really driven us to continue this thing. So I appreciate you giving us that opportunity to talk about it.
How important in your personal life has it been to be able to turn such a horrific event in your life into something where you can do some good based on that terrible occurrence?
Well, Danny, there's no doubt that the day we lost Nick was the worst day of my life. Can't even begin to tell you the feelings that we have. In fact, as we were driving, as I was driving home after he had died, and they kind of took his body and were taking it to the funeral home. As I was driving home, I got a call from Church of the Resurrection and a pastor named Karen, who I had never met before. And she met me at our house, and she gave me some advice that I'll never forget. I wanted to just go sit in my closet and just cry the entire day. I really didn't want to see anybody. And she said, there's going to be a lot of people coming to your house, Kevin, and Annie, and you need to open your arms to them. There's other people that need to mourn, and you need to mourn, and you need to be able to walk. Don't be afraid of mourning. You got to walk into it, and we did, and we opened our house, and we opened our house for weeks. People were coming by and just sitting and talking on the porch and having coffee and so forth. And it's really a hard thing. But I think we kind of took her words and took what we learned from it. And as we hear of people that have suicides, we're pretty quick to call and say, hey, if you need someone to talk to, or we bring food to their house. We've met a lot of people through support groups, and now we're trying to be more of a proactive instead of reactive, more of a proactive approach of how do we tackle things like depression, anxiety, and any kind of thing that'll lead to suicide, bullying, and so forth. I mean, we touch on a lot of things. The dosaging of meds is something that that our professorship is going towards. The Nick. I've got to carry this with me the rest of my life, Danny. Is that right. We knew Nick had problems, and we were taking him when he was in high school. We were taking him to the doctor, and all they do was adjust meds up or down. How you feeling? How you sleeping? How you studying? How you eating? And they would just adjust meds. And now there's gene testing and so forth where they'll know which meds kids will metabolize and which ones they won't. They'll know a little bit better, and they'll know a little bit better about that dosaging. And we've been a part of that. We've been a part of helping with that, and there's just tremendous work being done. And it'll never, helping other people out will never replace Nick, but it helps. It helps.
Yeah, no question about that. You mentioned a little bit earlier that you're now at 55 and you don't kind of know what the next phase will be, but you're always a forward-looking person. What do you think is in the future for Nick and Jake's and yourself?
Well, we definitely want to continue to look at and open restaurants. We want to give some of the young managers and some of the managers who've been with us a while more opportunities to grow the way we had opportunities when we were younger. So that's the main thing is giving that opportunity of growth for our people. We don't know where that'll be, and we don't know if they're definitely going to be Nick and Jake's or not. But we feel like the brand is good, and we should just continue with it. I don't know. I don't know. For me, I don't know when I'll stop working. Don't really think about it. I don't have any kind of exit strategy, and don't think about it. But I just know that I want to just continue to make things better for those people around me, and they'll continue to make things better for me.
And in the tell us a little bit about what it was like to be somebody who was involved in a business that's so directly impacted. And you said before you were kind of on the cutting edge and wanted to rely on the science during the time of COVID. Obviously, it's destroyed a lot of the restaurant industry, and nobody really thought it was going to go on for this long. You pivoted quickly, and the takeout business was a very good thing for your business as well. Do you feel like you had a better idea of what to do during COVID, and because it seems like you were able to thrive and then maybe come up with ideas that benefit your business going forward?
That's just a great question, and I think a lot of businesses in this town did the same thing we were doing, and we participated with other restaurants in how they're approaching it, and we shared ideas. The guys from Johnny's, for example, and Colby from Rye, we talked in Tanner's, and we talked all the time. We met every single morning, every single day, 7 days a week. And we were evaluating, what we were doing and how we were resetting our business, B, what external changes there were, because every single day there was something different with the COVID that we were learning. And then we were trying to evaluate what the population wanted. What did Johnson County want? What did Parkville want? What did they want out of Nick and Jake's to do? And every single day we met, and then try to develop daily and weekly plans and menus that we're going to take care of the guests, take care of our business, and take care of our employees. But we're just being surrounded by good people in our company was really important. Really important.
When you look back, you said you only had 5 jobs in the restaurant industry, which is pretty staggering, really. It's like having only 5 jobs in the radio industry or something like that. But you must have a great sense of satisfaction of how you were able to negotiate and maneuver through what is an incredibly difficult industry, and do so not only making it a success as a business, but as a community enterprise. It's got to be very satisfying.
It is, and I don't sleep well at night when things aren't going well, and I sleep very well at night when I know my employees are in a good place, and I know people are enjoying what we're doing. I'm extremely active in the community with the school districts. With a lot of different organizations, like cystic fibrosis and TLC and Children's Place and Children's Mercy, and I'm very involved with the restaurant industry as a whole. I served as president and chairman of the board of the Greater Kansas City Restaurant Association. I'm currently in line to be an officer for the Kansas State Board of Directors. Actually, I am an officer now, I work hard on lobbying for our industry. I work hard on educating, helping with young kids better understand what opportunities there are in the restaurant industry and how do they get educated. So the high school programs and college programs are really strong, and I enjoy being involved with all of that. There's a lot of parts of the restaurant industry I don't like, but have to do. But it is a joy to kind of share these things with the community.
Seems like you're in a good place.
Yeah, well, we're happy. Annie and I are happy. I'm getting through what I call miserable May. May is the hardest month for us. Typically it is, with Mother's Day and graduations, and there's just always something that needs to be done. And right now, restaurants are tight with staffing. Our staff is a little tight. There's a breakdown in the supply chain. There's a breakdown, and there's shortages on to-go supplies, and every day there's new challenges, and that makes a normally difficult May even more difficult. So we're looking forward to getting through Memorial Day, and we're looking forward to vaccination rates going up. We're looking forward to not wearing masks to work, and we're in a good place. And Danny, I just can't thank you enough for this time. I know you've had just an awful lot of challenges, you and your wife, over the last few years, and the way you handle yourself and the way you keep your chin up and the way you keep your positivity is really an inspiration. It's an inspiration for me, but I know it's an inspiration for a lot of Kansas Cityans. And if you're out there and you haven't read Danny's book, you got to read it. It's strong. It's really good. I really appreciate you.
Well, I appreciate those kind words, and I thank you for your time and look forward to having a great week for you. This is in closing, this is an incredible time with the golf tournament and everything like that. That it's one of the, you mentioned miserable May, but the golf tournament and all the things around it are one of the fun things for Nick and Jake's that really creates helps build its profile, and I know it's busy, but it's a lot of fun too, isn't it?
It's fun, and we've definitely got our hands full. We've definitely got our hands full this week, and we've got an incredible staff that's going to be out there at Blue Hills. So if you get you get an all-in-one pass. I believe they're $175 for the day, but that gets you into all the different hospitality areas. It gets you into our area, and you get all the drinks you want, and we're at a great location on the back of the course. So look forward to it. And Danny, I appreciate you. Appreciate the time.
This podcast was made possible by our great sponsors like Easton Roofing, the presenting sponsor of Kansas City Profiles at the Danny Kling Scale Reasonably Irreverent podcast. Easton Roofing, where integrity matters. We hope you enjoyed the latest Danny Kling Scale Reasonably Irreverent podcast. Come back soon for something fresh and new.